This is Kugan Cassius for iFLTV. Excuse my voice, Gareth. It's slowly coming back, but happy New Year's Eve.
Yeah, happy New Year's Eve to you, you troublemaker. The last time I was on, you caused trouble. A lot of it.
Not intentionally, though.
No, I didn't think you did.
No, not intentionally. We'll talk about that later on. First of all, how are you?
Very well indeed, sir. Thank you. I didn't let the dusty sands of Arabia affect my throat, and I think it's affected a lot of people. Because very windy and there was a lot of dust in the air, wasn't there? Probably
Absolutely
need to get that sand out of the back of your throat.
don't. I lost my voice a few days ago. It is coming back, though. So
Yeah, and you turned up on Wednesday.
that's a different story. Anyway, um, we're nearly there, Gareth, end of 2024.
Yeah, what an amazing year it's been.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve for everyone in boxing this year. And a lot to do with that has to do with Riyadh season and how that's the kind of the major part of everyone's and the forefront of everyone's kind of boxing sphere, if you like. Um, but it has been because the back end of 2023, we got a little glimpse with a couple of events that happened. But last year, Riyadh season seemed to dominate the whole of boxing.
Yeah, it transformed it, and you could say that Turkey, His Excellency Turkey Alalshikh, is now the biggest influence in boxing, and the acquisition of the Ring magazine, the restructuring of big fights in the heavyweight division, um, and overall uh, a joyfulness because people can fantasize about fights they want to see, and they're pretty sure they will happen, which augurs really well for the new year for 2025. And we've already got a stacked couple of months coming up with that February 22nd cards, Kabayel and Zhang, um, Parker and Dubois, Boatsy and Smith, and I haven't even mentioned yet Better Be Evan Bivol. Neuer Nui's in action. Um, who else is in action? Jack Catterall with Barboza. I mean, there's a really stacked 2 months of fights. Caressa Shields is fighting. Um, Adam Azim's in action. Dalton Smith's in action, not against each other. But no, it's amazing. It really is very, very good indeed.
Let's um let's start with this then. Highlight 24 for you. Boxing highlight 24.
I think it was watching the brilliant physical chess match between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Um, I mean, that was the fight of the year for me. Fury and Usyk is high up there as well. Fury and Usyk 1 and 2. Um, Wardley and Clark 1. Trying to think of others now. I mean, it was such a busy year. It was. I picked Beterbiev and Bivol as the fight of the year for me.
Mm.
Such immense boxing skills and tenacity and elite level boxing on display.
And we get to watch it all over again.
Exactly. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if we watch it all over again, rounds 25 to 36 as well.
Who's your promoter of 2024?
Turkey Alalshikh.
No, you can't include Turkey.
Why not? I can do what I want.
No, it's my question. Turkey,
Frank Warren. Frank
Turkey,
Warren.
Turkey
Frank
sits
Warren.
above
All
this.
right, Frank Warren then. Frank Warren.
Go.
I mean, he eviscerated Eddie Hearn in the 5v5. He's got 12 of the top 16 heavyweights in the world. He's got Moses Itauma coming through. Lawrence Okole's joined him to add to the stable of Fabio Wardley. I think Chisora's with him. Fury, Zhang, Parker, Dubois. I mean, it's incredible, the stable.
Adelaide. Yeah.
Adelaide's back now as well. I saw David out in Riyadh, looking zippy again and happy. Um, yeah, but I think it's Frank Warren. You look at the other guys he's got coming through. Hamza Shiraz, Nick Balls there had a brilliant year, arguably one of the fighters of the year. Look what Daniel Dubois did last year. He's arguably the fighter of the year. But for me, I'd say Alexander Usyk's the fighter of the year. I know it's something to do with Frank Warren and promoter, but I think it's Usyk, what he achieved against Fury in 2 fights. Put him in the pantheon of great modern heavyweights. And I'm talking from the 50s onwards, 40s, 50s onwards.
Yeah, I asked Eddie Hearn about Fighter of the Year for 2024, and I think, yeah, he said Alexander Usyk. But you mentioned Dubois there. I mean, Dubois got a good shout for being Fighter of 2024.
Definitely in the mix. Definitely in the mix. I mean, the 5 round demolition of Anthony Joshua, um, the performance against Hrgovic was outstanding. Was Jarrell Miller last year or this year? Was that early this year?
Oh, do you know what? I'll
Hang
have
on.
to look because I can't work out. I was trying to work out the dates of Dubois' fights. Keeps
No voice, no memory.
same as you,
I've got no memory. Yeah, but I've got my voice.
right? So let's just work this out from
I'm going to look at it. Hang on.
right. I'm looking now. Yes, Hrgovic was this year.
Yeah,
That was
definitely
on
was.
the card of the 5v5, obviously. So he's beaten Hrgovic and Joshua this year, which is definitely worth a mention for Fighter of the Year, 100%.
Yeah. Uh, Gerald Miller was last December. Yeah, so in 12 calendar months, he's had an amazing time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's been your most disappointing moment of 2024?
Gosh.
You and Big John?
No. Um, disappointing. Not a lot of disappointment, to be honest.
There's always some disappointment. Can't
I'm
let the sun without a bit of rain, Gareth.
I have not focused in on disappointment. I can't think of one right now.
Okay. You can come back to it uh,
Yeah, okay.
if you feel like. Prospects of 2024 that really came through.
Moses Taumer,
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
big time. I mean, so much so. And people think I might be stretching the truth here and over exaggerating. But by the end of the year coming, he could be a world champion. He could be ready for world championship defenses and fighting for a world title. If they match him against like a Philip Hrgovic next, he's going to have to fight those guys. If he can come through, and it is a big ask, but if he can come through the biggest challenges and not get hurt or damaged by other fighters, and it is a big ask. He was 28. He was 20 2 days ago on the 28th. He's definitely a massive, massive prospect. Um, and it's extraordinary what he might be capable of doing. Extraordinary. He's nerveless at the moment doing things. I always thought he would stop Dempsey McKean, but not so quickly and in the manner he did it. Um, they look. They're going to say we're going to have to put the brakes on him a little bit and bring him through, but I don't think they want to put the brakes on him too much. That's just my view. They'll do what they want to do with him. Francis Warren and Frank Warren, George Warren. But he's a story to watch out for, definitely. Just penned a big column on him, especially as Turki Alalshikh tweeting his reflections on that event that we've just come home from, where he's saying he'd like Moses to break records. He could probably break the record of not Sonny Liston, Floyd Patterson and Muhammad Ali, who were the second and third youngest to hold the world title belt. He'd probably break their records. They were 21, 22 when they did it, and I think he will do that by that age. Might not be by the end of next year, but he'll be in position. When you look at how the division plays out, if Usyk decides to carry on and fight Dubois again or Parker, the winner of that fight, or a Jai Opetaia, spoke to Jai about that. I mean, Jai's better off fighting Usyk I don't think Usyk. I think he'd struggle to make cruiserweight again. And Opataya wants to become undisputed in the cruiserweight division. But if you look at the way those belts play out, Kabayel, winner of Kabayel and Zhang will be in the offing there for something. Fury and Joshua will probably fight each other because they'll be persuaded to by the amount of money on offer. Then Moses steps in to fight someone. It could be a Dubois. Moses Taum against Daniel Dubois by the end of 2025 rather. Wow. Wow. I mean, though, do you remember the chat last year when they were even talking about, and Frank said he put him in there with him now, is they put Moses Itauma in with Joseph Parker right now. Moses Itauma and Fabio Wardley. Oh my word. What a fight that would be.
Yeah, I mean,
It all depends on what happens. It all depends on what Alexander Usyk wants to do from here. And I think he'll take a longish rest. It all depends on what Fury and Joshua decide to do as well. Because I don't see them fighting anyone else, even though Eddie Hearn's mentioned in the last couple of days that Anthony Joshua has an ambition to fight Tyson Fury and rematch Daniel Dubois in 2025. And that's doable.
yeah, I spoke to Eddie Hearn for 50 minutes yesterday, and per what you just said there, Gareth, Eddie
Did he
Hearn,
have you on his Kiss FM show or not?
no, no, too big time. Um, but options for Anthony Joshua are for 2025, Fury and a rematch with um, Daniel Dubois. For Usyk, which
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, I
yeah,
did see that. I did see that.
for more of a posing question, who does Usyk fight? He's completed heavyweight boxing. It's completed.
Well, maybe Daniel Dubois if Daniel
That's the
Dubois
only option, a
beats
rematch with
Parker.
Dubois. But what outside of Dubois, because Dubois got his effectively his old IBF title, who's there for him to fight?
Well, Parker if Parker beats Dubois.
But right now, as it stands, like there's not a lot of options at heavyweight there for him, is there?
No. Well, there are options, but none of them really make your mouth water. None of them, you know.
It's incredible what he's done. Like
It
in a
is.
short space of time, come here, three of the top five heavyweights beaten Joshua twice, Fury twice, Dubois once, all in the space of what, 2 years?
Yeah, yeah. Well, 3 years. Yeah, 2.5 years. Yeah, absolutely, two and a half years. Yeah. No, it is extraordinary. It really is extraordinary. He's an extraordinary character and an extraordinary boxer, and he is a modern great. There's no question about it.
Mm.
You know, where he stands in the pantheon of all-time greats. It's funny, isn't it, that he was born on the same day as Muhammad Ali, weighs the same reach. Um, but he's a throwback in lots of ways. Not a big knockout merchant, which is interesting as well. Not a big power puncher, but just very, very skilled, very clever. Works through the rounds, and is an absolute champion of the sport and champion of his people. It's an incredible story.
Absolutely. Um, right, let's go back to a few days ago. Um, yeah, how did you kind of look back on
Well,
your?
when you stitched me up and pulled John on to have a go at me,
I didn't stitch you up. How did you reflect on it, Gareth?
um, well, John's emotional about watching his son go through a brutal war, and I understand that. But I watched back my commentary as well just to check. I just thought the judging was a disgrace, and I'd like to apologise for absolutely nothing in my comments because I just said that because I thought it was a disgrace at the time, and I thought Dave Allen clearly won the fight. But I'm at the same time we learnt about a lot about Johnny Fisher's resilience, that he can go through a war, that he'll come back. I know you've seen him recently. I don't know how he reflected on it, but he will have learnt a lot from that fight. And it's heavyweight boxing. He got hurt by two left hooks in that fifth round. He stuck in there, and what he learned was if you stuck in there, you sometimes get the decision. And I think he's fortunate to get a decision, but it was on his own merit that he got it. It wasn't. I don't think the judges were biased towards him, but that's just how they saw it. But I didn't agree with them. I certainly didn't agree with two of the judges. Um, and if you're asking me to reflect on John Fisher's comments, that's John Fisher's comments. That's fine. I'd like to have had a debate with him rather than him just, I wasn't. I mean, he was saying that I'm a disgrace, or well, I'm not a disgrace, but he was saying that my scoring is a disgrace, therefore, and I don't know what I'm looking at, but I do know what I'm looking at, and I also know that I'm looking at someone's father, as I said, who is emotional about what his son has been through. Other than that, it's I don't really have a lot more to say about it. John's an influencer, isn't he? And a guy who knows his boxing, but he's talking about his son. So I do understand when someone is vehemently for their son. And I didn't insult his son at all. Didn't say anything about his son. I didn't use the word robbery. I just thought the judging was a disgrace, and I stand by that. Thought Dave Allen won.
Speaking to Eddie Hearn yesterday, obviously,
And they've reached out, apparently, by the way. I'm hearing or I'm reading reports, a lot of them today, that Johnny Fisher's team have reached out for a rematch with Dave Allen, which I think is a brilliant idea. I think they could go for the O2, if not the Copperbosh.
yeah, I spoke to Eddie Hearn about this yesterday. Um, Said that yes, I mean, I think you put this fighter at the O2. O2, what's that capacity of 16,500, just over? Uh,
Yeah.
I will take a punt that that will do that with a decent undercard.
Yeah,
Um,
14, 16, yeah.
I think it does it. Right now, as in the next fight, I think the longer you delay that, like it loses a little bit of its relevance for the public. But I think if that's going to be their next fight for
In
the
March
parent,
or April, yeah. Put it on DAZN.
I think I
What?
think
Who did you have winning, Allen and Fisher, by the way?
I had Dave Allen winning.
By what?
I had Dave Allen winning by like a single.
Round.
So yeah, I mean I spoke to um, John Fisher, as in young Johnny Fisher, and excuse me, Gav, spoke to Johnny Fisher.
Has he watched it back or not?
I don't know. I'm not sure if he's watched the whole fight back, but on the night, yeah, I did have Dave Allen winning, which I spoke to John about, as in not Big John, but Little John, so to say. Um, but that was my feeling. It was in terms of robbery. I do not think it was anywhere near what people can
I
perceive to be
never used
robbery.
the word robbery. I said the judging was a disgrace. And it's not a robbery because that robbery suggests something else. I thought Johnny won the first four rounds. I thought Dave took over and won by a round or two with he hurt he hurt Johnny with two left hooks in the fifth. And as I say, Johnny clung in there as well when it looked like he was going to get stopped, and he held his own. But I just don't think he was winning rounds.
But something I spoke to Eddie Hearn about yesterday, and I asked him a question, which might sound a silly question, but the majority of people watching that fight on week before, sorry, how many of them are actively scoring it,
Mm.
as in scoring a fight like that? Now, Eddie Hearn said, well, probably not many, like a very small percentage of people are actually scoring round for round. But what I said to him was, unless you're scoring it round for round on a close fight, you can't really say either way if um, somebody loses that you felt like someone lost, unless you're scoring it round for round. Now, I think the majority of people that watched that fight, because Johnny was in trouble in that middle round, and also because there's a 10-8 round, a lot of people do get swayed by that as their ultimate decision of who won the fight.
Yeah, I don't want to argue with that. Look. I mean, you look at the Fury Usyk fight, and The judges scoring at 116, 112. There were 5 swing rounds with the judges alone in that, and there were so many close rounds, several close rounds in that. But on balance, the winning of the rounds was done by Usyk, and people who were very much in Tyson's camp saw it for him. I don't know if I told you, I had it 115, 114 to Usyk, but I couldn't split them in the first round. I scored it at 10-10, and then 6 rounds to 5 to Usyk. But if I'd gone Fury with that first round, I'd have had a draw. So, we do get close fights. We do get. It is hard. Boxing. That's why an AI machine for me doesn't work. An AI judge doesn't work because you need. It's part of the sports, and that's what was disappointing about. Perhaps what was disappointing for me about the chat with John Fishser the other day was that we couldn't have a debate about it. It had to be personal attacks. I mean, I only attacked the judges. I didn't attack anyone else.
Well, listen, we'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, if there is a rematch,
No, I hope so.
those two, yeah, listen. I mean, look, whether it's the right thing for Johnny, I don't know. Obviously, Dave Allen would lap that up to rematch Johnny Fishser in his next fight. But whatever they decide to do is obviously what's going to happen. But I think I did ask, could there be a possibility of Johnny Fishser kind of fighting in between? Um,
Who would you put him in against now then?
Good question. But also, if Johnny Fishser has one, then Dave Allen will have to have one as well.
No, no, let them fight each other.
Yeah,
Let them
no,
fight each other.
I see that. I see that. But I think Johnny would have learned a lot from the other day. He's come through it.
Oh, totally. That's the great thing for him. Look, he came out of that with a win, but he will have learned so much. His resilience, all the positives that he got out of it. Listen, he went through a brutal fight as well, but his resilience, his fitness, his conditioning, his spirit to battle through and know that you do get the rub of the green sometimes if you just stay in the fight. And he did. And those are all the positives about what he did in the fight.
We should wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of been a situation with Eubank again per Eddie Hearn yesterday. Still not kind of saying either or.
It's ridiculous. Get this fight over the line. It's one we all want to see. I don't just do 50-50 because they're both going to gain out of it. A massive payday from both men, 5 million plus. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Wembley Stadium. It will do huge numbers. It's fascinating to see. Get the fathers in the corners. Let's have a little bonanza, a little extravaganza. Let's have a little run out in April with these two fighting each other. And I hope it happens for both of them as well. It's a bloodline fight. It's brilliant. So come on, guys. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I spoke to Chris Eubank Jr. at the launch of the Ring magazine in Riyadh, and he said it was on.
But you say on, who's budging on this split? Because
he wants 55%, doesn't he?
Conor
Yeah.
Ben, again through Eddie Hearn, Conor Ben is not going to take a 55-45 not in his favour.
Well, someone's going to have to budge somewhere, and if it doesn't, they'll lose the fight forever. And I think it'd be a shame for both of them because it's a British heritage fight, British bloodline fight, as I say, and it's one that everyone everyone bought into it the first time, and now it's a middleweight, and it suits Nigel. It suits Nigel. It suits Chris Eubank so much more than it does Conor Ben. We'll get it. It'll happen.
So. I think we'll get
There's
it.
too much money on the line for it not to happen.
I know. I think Chris Eubanks trying to push everything because
I saw the row or the debate with Eddie, and his name escapes me now. Chris Eubanks' manager,
Napa.
Napa. Yeah, and it was very interesting, and I enjoyed the back and forth with them. But you could see where Eubank's team are holding their line. They are definitely holding their line on it, and they're basing it on body of work and all those kind of things. But let's just hope it doesn't. Some fights like this don't happen because of ego sometimes, and that's what's in the way right now. It's ego.
List me 4 fights that you want to see happen, but also after each fight, give me a percentage probability that they will happen.
Gervonta Davis, Shaka Stevenson, 50% that will happen in 2025. I hope they do. Canelo against Crawford, 89% is going to happen. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, 85 to 90% is going to happen. And me and John Fishser, 0.
You said 80.
We're gonna make up at some point because I love Big John. I love Big John.
89% for Canelo and Crawford. That's quite
Oh,
high.
that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. Right, I'm going swimming before our New Year
Wonderful.
celebrations.
Wonderful.
I want to get some time in the pool.
All right. Well, listen, Gareth, thank you very much for your kind of end of year catch up. No doubt, lots to talk about as 2025, excuse me, approaches. So happy New Year, Gareth.
Cheers. Same to you. Cheers.
Thank you, Gareth A. Davies.